Good evening. I'm Sami Parvez and welcome to the Sami Parvez show. And we are joined by our buddy, our friend from beautiful Alberta, Danwan Ekstrom. How are you doing, Danwan?
Sammy, I'm doing great. Just driving. This is a bit last minute, so I apologize if I drop out a couple times, but it's good. It's good. It's minus 12 right now. It's snowy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just in Ontario, and
Yeah.
I'm back in Grand Prairie.
Mm-hmm. So how are you feeling like after visiting our beautiful Ontario? Like I know like you complained a lot like about like Ontario there is no snow and the temperature just went above like 10. It seems like there were no snow at all like once like I think yes it was yesterday or day before yesterday, like and you are also complaining with respect to Toronto Pearson Airport. I wanted to give you a comment, but I'm busy. Like I wanted to take a moment and to give you a good comment. Like unfortunately I could not do it. Sorry about that. So could you please explain to the audience your experience this time traveling to Ontario?
It was great. No, I'm not complaining the whole time. I like snow, so it was nice coming back into Grand Prairie or coming and you feeling that little winter. I like having a distinct winter. I wasn't. Yes, and Pearson's just a terrible airport. It is insane how it functions. They have like two lines to get in. This is in Terminal 3. It took like 20 minutes just to get to the terminal. Like we had
Wow.
turned on that airport road. It was about 20 minutes and I was like, this is lunacy. Um, that drove me crazy. I hated that.
Mhm.
And this Pearson's just a bad airport in general. Like there's like a billion people. It feels unending. Our baggage thing, because now it's like you don't even really interact with people anymore, which I think is like a bigger discussion about society. But like it's like we have to put our baggage sticker on ourselves and go to a machine that wasn't
Yep.
working, and I'm like this is a bit irritating, but no, but like outside of that, like I enjoyed the company. It was nice seeing you. It was nice seeing my brother, seeing my niece, seeing some long ballot people. That was really lovely. It was
Mhm.
nice. I enjoyed it. And the driving, that was the thing that took me a little bit to get back. Is like because here in Alberta, people will drive about 10 over the speed limit.
Mhm.
Um, versus um in Ontario, everyone drives about 30 over the speed limit.
Yep.
Everybody drives fast. Everybody has places to be. And people are aggressive out here, but that took a little bit. As soon as I went on to I
Yep.
went on to the QE2 in Edmonton to make my way back north. I was going about 130 and just passing people, and I'm like, no, I slow down now. So that was a bit of a learning thing. But no, I enjoyed it, Sammy. It's a little bit of complaining, but I'm going to complain all the time. I love complaining.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good. Complain like until and unless you don't make complaint, things won't get better. Like we need to say like when you find it is wrong or you don't like it or something wrong. Yeah, and this is how like I think I don't know like who should be blamed like for over speeding. Maybe Doug Ford or maybe Ontario government. Somebody should be accountable. Like for this. Like everyone is just rushing to get there where they need to. I don't know, and that's why many accident happen, and the insurance is too high. Like I'm paying like 240. Last time it was 250, just $10 now, less. But due to this, like everyone is careless. Particularly these drivers, some are drunk drive and some are distracted driving. Like texting and these things all happening. But at the end of the day, no one cares.
Well, I will say too, we have the highest insurance rates. Like some people will spend like 500 a month on their
Wow.
insurance because it's been privatized and it's quite crazy how expensive some things are up here. But
Mhm.
yeah, oh yeah, and I think it's something about I when I was younger, I would get mad driving a lot. Like I would road rage, I'd tailgate people. Um, but I've noticed probably when I was about 26 there was a certain moment where somebody had cut me off and I was really mad, and I went to pass them, and they I just rolled my window down. And I was yelling at them, and then they rolled their window down and being like, "I'm sorry." And I was like, "Why am I getting upset at somebody that like it doesn't make sense?" And I think that was a pretty critical moment of
Mhm.
like, why? Yeah, nobody got hurt. Somebody, he's just like, I didn't see you. You're in my blind spot. I'm sorry. And I was like, son of a gun. And when you talk to people, and I think that's the thing too. I think people just need to mellow out. It's like I don't know what people are going through when they're driving. Like that person could have lost their job
Mhm.
and they're just kind of in a malaise and they're just driving and they just, and that's the thing too. It's like the way that people drive, it's like 99% of the time they could be the best driver on the planet. The 1% time is like and they make a mistake. We all make mistakes, and then and then I lose my mind. It doesn't make sense. So I've mellowed out quite a bit, and I hope that mellowing goes beyond that. But Ontario though, everybody's fast. Everyone's going like 140 on the 401. Like if you're not going 110, like you are now a problem. Which I was like or pedal to the metal. But it's the way it goes, Sammy. It's the way it goes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is how it goes. Yeah, like it happens. Like I never get mad on people whenever they're cut me off, or like if you are not careful, like changing the lane, so like I will honk them. I don't get mad on them. Like I will tell them like you are wrong.
Then you move on. Like, yeah, you can be like mad, being like, "What an idiot," and then you sort of go, "Huh." Don't like the fact that like people chase people down, people are throw things, people start screaming, people want to like fight. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. There's a lot more things to be mad at than somebody accidentally forgetting to turn their signal light on. Be more concerned about the drunk drivers. That's the thing that should be
Yeah.
very much the focus, and not somebody just sort of, yeah. Oh, I forgot to shoulder check and I almost hit somebody. Like, okay, like good, like that's a lesson. It's like drunk driving though is the thing that you should be mad at. If I saw somebody swerving and I'd be like, yeah, I've done it too. I've called 911 for somebody that was swerving, and but then I found out that they were just a bad driver. Was what the RCMP said when they called me back.
Yep. Yeah, it happens. Okay, let's talk about politics. Like lots of things happening, and we have been out. Like it seems like we had a summer break. I like not summer break, Christmas break. I would say. Like I was not expecting to take that much long break, but due to some technical issues and my laptop did not have a charger, which I ordered. I received it. I don't know, like few days ago, and sorry, audience, we could not make it. And two, like I think Sundays we missed, and we did a live with my friend on Friday. He was there in Kitchener, and we had a great time. And thank you so much, Danwan, for making it happen. Yeah. And let's so right now the chaos is happening, in Ottawa. So the parliament has been installed for a long time, I think for 3 months, due to that green slush funds. Green slush fund scandal, and now Trudeau is facing a mounting pressure to step down from his caucus like members. It seems like majority of them, maybe most of them, not all of them, from Ontario. Atlantic already told them. Now Quebec is calling. Now who are remaining? No one. They don't have any caucus member. Like they have just two from Prairie. No, like Winnipeg is still remaining, like Manitoba. But
Yeah,
in Alberta, in Saskatchewan, they have just two MPs who already called them to step down. Maybe Randy Bosno is not going to call him to step down because Randy Bosno already facing is already under the fire or under the hot water. But the other guy, like he was saved by Trudeau. He caught he stealing flyers back in 2021 election. George Chahal. He does not supposed to be an MP, but we live in Canada, which is I don't think Canada is a democratic state where someone get caught for stealing. If you go in Walmart, if you steal a candy, like you could face the consequences. Maybe you could get fined, or there will be a hearing, in the court. But a MP got caught stealing campaign flyers, and which is the violation of Canada Election Act. But what happened at the end? Just pay $500 and let go and live a luxury life for next 4 years on Canadian taxpayer dollar, which is ridiculous. I think it happened anywhere in the universe, despite in the if it happened in China or Russia or Iran, that guy would not be sitting MP and won't getting uh, uh, paid on taxpayer dollar. Like shame on Trudeau for depending it. Now he's betraying. It seems like a stepping back on Trudeau, calling him to a step down. He should be ashamed. And Trudeau deserve what he's facing today from a guy like George Charlie. Maybe brought him on diversity or quota system. He's facing, like Trudeau is paying the price and he deserves it. What is your take?
No, it's funny. It's like, yeah, the somebody who should not have won or should have been disqualified is like, you're too much of a mess, Justin. You need to step down. I kept thinking that he was going to step down. I would have bet much money on it, but it seems like Trudeau's making sort of ads. Like he seems to be prepping for this next election. So I think he's going to do it. I think he's going to ride it to the end. But yeah, it seems like I don't know how to would stay leader when everybody hates you, but he seems to be doing it. So I don't know. It's not optimal in liberal land. Let me just say that it is not an optimal time. Everybody's there's that Angus Reid poll came out, and it looks like there's only going to be one seat in Ontario that they might win,
Mm-hmm.
which would be Nate Erskine Smith. And like, but like Trudeau's just, it's everybody's head is in the sand. Trudeau seems to be delusional enough to think he can win it. Um, Maybe the debate. I don't know. Like he 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 did well in the debates. In like 2019, he did well in the debates in 2021. That shifted some things a little bit, but like I don't know. I think it's the time is ticking. Will they prorogue Parliament to stay in power a bit long? That's kind of the big question when the House returns in January. Will we have an election in February? Sami, it's a busy time. There's a lot of all things up in the air that we'll find out in about 20 days what'll happen. Uh, but I don't think he's going to step down. I think despite the mounting pressure, I think he'll just keep ignoring it, crash the plane, and see what happens.
Yeah, let the boat sink like together, like sink all of them together, like if you are dying, let others to die, like he's losing, so let everyone else to lose, like many seats are at stake, particularly in Alberta. In Ontario they will lose many, and Alberta, Saskatchewan will be clean swept, maybe in Manitoba and Atlantic Canada. If I would be the true, if I were the true, if I were Trudeau, I would ask Governor General to dissolve the Parliament. Let's go for another election. This would be it, like as everyone is calling to a step down, and you don't want to step down because you did too much. Like these. Let's be impartial. I would say if Trudeau was not the leader back in 2013 and for 2015, and Trudeau did not bring this policy, diversity, and a Canadian is a Canadian is a Canadian, like Trudeau, Liberal government would not win an election, like they could not form a government. And whoever took these seats like minister or MPs or parliamentary secretary and senator, whatever they hell they are, they should owe to Trudeau for making this thing happen. Maybe Trudeau is a like like a big brand behind the scene, but Trudeau also put uh, 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 throw people under the bus, such as Madam Jody Wilson-Raybould and Dr. Jane Pelport, and some other MPs too, and particularly now uh Christia Freeland. But like like for people like George Chahal and there were some other MPs who were calling Trudeau to step down. I don't think they should do it, and they owe to Trudeau, like this thing. But like Trudeau has no choice now. He must call an election, let everyone should lose their seats too, rather than stepping down. But he says he's not going anywhere. Like he just posted that Liberal Party new ad where it seems like he's staying on. And Trudeau like gave an interview to CBC this hour as 22 minutes. Mark, what is his name?
Mark Critch.
Yeah, Mark Rich. Like he told them that he wants to rule for dozen years. It seems like he may be following the footsteps of Fidel Castro. Like to rule for half a century. Who knows?
No, I think. Well, to be fair, he did also immediately say after no. Like I think it could have been done in a joking way. I don't see him meaning
Yeah.
that for 12 years.
Hmm.
It is this hour is 22 minutes, so I don't think you should take too much from that. Also, that interview was done before the Freeland stuff happened, so
Oh, really?
uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's what Mark Critch was saying. So that's why it might have been a bit more jovial.
Yeah, I know.
Obvious.
Like it could be that one. Yeah,
So like,
and
not reading too much into it.
mhm. And so, what did you observe back in 2015 when Stephen Harper was ruling for 9 years?
I think people were tired. Like the thing is, and I've said this on our show a lot, that people get tired. Like about 10 years is 9 to 10 years is people get tired of things. I think you had uh, you had somebody that was younger. That's always a big thing. You had somebody that had a little bit more pizzazz. Stephen Harper is quite bland. Um, and you had stuff that like there was just some boneheaded moves that typically wouldn't fall on Stephen Harper. Like he was pretty savvy at keeping a lot of those backbenchers in control and keeping the as they call it out here bozo eruptions from like the backbenchers. Um, and so Harper had a really good control of, if somebody said, well, they tried that if Harper was prime minister, abortions would be banned. But he maintained like a lot. There's a lot of pro-life people in the conservative caucus, but I think a lot of people were just kind of tired of that blandness and wanted something fresh and exciting, and they got it with Justin Trudeau, who I think, despite everybody's hatred of him, I do think his first 4 years were fine. I don't
Hmm.
think there was anything too horrendously bad about his first 4 years. Um, but I think people just wanted to change, and that's Canada's way. Brian Mulroney. It happened with even Pierre Trudeau. He gets like that 10 years, and then he steps down again
Hmm.
because it's like there's a lot of mounting pressure. It's a sort of like a Canadian way. You don't really have anybody that sticks around too long. It feels like that's the natural progress there, and then you want something a bit different. So yeah, I think people are just a little tired of Stephen Harper. That is the way, and then you end up with somebody different. I'm having some chocolate.
Okay.
Mm.
So, did you notice, like taxes are off?
Like what? Sorry.
Like taxes, like tax, like
Like
tax, like GST. I don't know, like how Alberta works, like GST, GST, PST.
we just have GST, so it's only
Okay, so
five
right now
percent.
GST is off.
Yeah,
Or I don't know, like I did shopping like last time at Freshco. I did not notice it before, but I did a shopping. Like I noticed like there were no taxes. I don't know,
yeah.
like you know.
No, I noticed. Like, nah, I noticed it with a couple things. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. But it's quite marginal out here. 5%. You're not really saving a whole lot.
Yeah, the
That's
5% AR it is 13%. Like that is a big sum.
a
I
big.
wish
That's a big drop.
I wish they would. takes off on a gas, like gas carbon tax and plus like GST and whatever you call it, PST or HST, GST or air, it is called HST, both like federal and provincial together, which is 13%. Yeah, you guys are lucky. Yeah, I
Well,
wish
that's
this.
why in Grand Prairie we end up getting a lot of people from BC because
Mm-hmm,
British Columbia is only like an hour away.
mm-hmm.
And so there's a lot of BC license plates from people that'll avoid the HST. They'll come here to our Costco and buy a bunch of stuff. So
Wow.
yeah, people will buy things in Grand Prairie and then just bring it back, which is nice for
Mhm.
Grand Prairie, or for
Yeah,
like Alberta. It's not the
you
worst thing.
bet. Yeah, yeah. You will have the money.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And please tell me, like, what is the gas price in Grand Prairie or Alberta?
In Edmonton, it was about $1.30.
Mm-hmm.
There was one gas station on the way up that was about $1.28. Up in Grand Prairie, the lowest is $1.40. So it's about what it's where it's Ontario. About
Yeah,
$1.40 up here.
yeah, it is. Yeah, I filled it up like 2 days ago. Like it was 140, then it changed to 139. But one day it was one night it was 137.6. Some like Pioneer, I think Pioneer Gate station was. Yeah, it seems and did like gas like what was it the highest one 150 or it went above like 150 in Alberta?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Like there's a couple of places here that are like in smaller towns that are about $1.50. Um, but in the big cities, yeah, it's about that $1.40 down to $1.28.
And how low it went?
That's about what it's been at. This is about the lowest it's been in a while. We've had it go up to like $1.60. Um, but yeah, for like it's been nothing's really changed too much. It's been right around this, hovering this for the last few months.
What about during a COVID era?
Yeah, I think we got under $1 for a little bit, which was nice. There was like one time in 2016 or 2017 where it was like 48 cents. It was crazy. And
Wow.
I remember that because I was just filling up gas. I was like, this is amazing. The gas is like 52 cents. And then the next morning it shot up to like $1. And everybody said there's no reason it should have shot up that high.
Hmm.
So then I was like, gas station's making money. But yeah, that's the lowest I've ever seen it. COVID time, I think we were about 95 cents. It wasn't anything too. It was nice.
Hmm.
And then everything shot back up and has been kind of where it's been at.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. And do you think this carbon tax impacted the gas price?
Yeah, I think so. I think
Okay.
there's like a. I think there's like a. I'm not. I haven't read the economics on it, Sammy, so I can't tell you for certain. But I would imagine they're trying to curtail people using carbon. That the gas prices are probably being affected a little bit. I wonder what it is.
Hmm.
They might be like 15 cents additional,
15. Hmm.
but I don't know for sure.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So Trudeau, I think, is not going anywhere, right? You think the same? He is going
Yeah,
to till the next election.
correct. Yeah.
And where do you think like Jagmeet would stay? Like is it seems like Jagmeet is not going to vote no confidence with conservative because he wants to dissolve a liberal government from his own motion, particularly Jagmeet Singh.
It'll be very funny. I think it would be very, very funny if the NDP vote against the conservative motion
Mhm,
and the conservatives vote against the NDP motion. I think that
mhm,
would be very funny. That'd be very Canadian, like sort of
mhm.
this wonderful ineptness.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you start to see stuff too with like Charlie Angus saying like, I'm not going to sit down and I'm not going to vote against or I'm not going to vote for a non-confidence motion because I don't want Pierre Poilievre to win. So there's even like within the NDP caucus uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
But that is the way to go. I'm gonna take you on me. I'm gonna walk into my school. So I'll take you in and we'll
Okay.
we'll go for a little walk.
Mm-hmm. So
They're
is your
still there?
school open today?
No, I'm here to just I have some stuff I have to work on, so I'm here today at my school. Um
Your signal got weak, I believe.
oh, there we go.
Anyone, are you
Sorry.
there? Yep.
Sorry,
Go
I'm
ahead.
good. Yeah. You got me?
Yes, sir.
Lovely. Yeah, I just have some stuff I have to work on, so I'm at the school today. Things to do, Sammy. Things to do. Looks like there's
Mm-hmm.
some folks here already, which is always fun. Change the background. Blur the background. There we go. Still there, Sammy?
Yep.
Lovely. But yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be Trudeau will stick it through. I think Singh doesn't have exactly an idea on what to do. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that there will be some ineptness but I do think eventually the confidence motion will go through.
Yeah, but like like the history repeat itself. Like whoever take the helm of liberal party at this time, no one would win it in the next election. Like they would take like another decade to outset Pierre Pouliot. Like he would definitely will rule for next two term. The third term maybe would be tricky if there would be no scandal. Like every government would have a scandal, like particularly Stephen Harper scandal, like before John Christian, and then Brian Maloney and Trudeau's senior. They all have their own scandal. Like it only would, like they will remain for just 10 years or 8 years. It
Yeah.
depends. And I don't think, like I don't know, like who wants to drive the vehicle which is broken, or the sinking ship. Who would be the part of the sinking ship? No one wants to be, but now I don't know, like why someone wants to run at this time, and they can be outset, like after losing an election. You would face pressure from your colleagues, from media, and from insiders, and what we saw, like like from conservative, particularly back in 2019 when Andrew Scheer lost, so he resigned. Then Erno Tool lost, then he resigned. Like it happened, and particularly with this, and I don't know, like NDP can't make a government, so they don't have people, and no one cares much about that one. So with respect to liberal, like we saw, like in particularly in Ontario liberal, like their leader lost his own seat, so he stepped down. Now they have a new leader. If she loses, they again are going. She's going to step down. She's not going to stick around, because she knows, like when you could not get it, so you are not going to stay longer. So what's your take? Do you think it is a good idea to run for leadership at this time? And I think, like Pierre Pouliot, like he uh, use strategic things, like to not to run back in 2016 or 17, and then 2019 or 2020. Like he's sharp, and he's smart, and he's clever. That's why he did not run that time. If he ran, he would not win. back in 2019 or 2021. Don't you think so?
Well, the thing is that I actually think that that's one of the big problems that I have with uh in the last little bit at least there's well to be fair, um I think had O'Toole or Shear had 3 or 4 years to
Hmm.
establish themselves, they would have been fine. Like you're looking at like a very different apples to oranges comparison here. Shear only had like a year and a half. O'Toole only had like less than a year.
Hmm.
Um, and meanwhile, Polyev has had the whole 4 years. And you see the jump in his polling numbers happened back in like September of last year. So it took 2 years for that
Yep.
jump to happen. So I think it's like if O'Toole was leader at this time, or he would be fine. You could probably be a goat that's missing its half of its brain as the conservative leader, and you would be up 35 points
Hmm.
right now. Like you can't sit down and compare it regardless. I don't think it's necessarily that he's smart. It's just that the liberals didn't call an election in a year. Because had the liberals called an election in a year, people might have been pissed off. I don't think Pierre Poilievre would have done well.
Hmm.
Um, but you give it time to establish it. You have him at the House of Commons all the time. You see all these different question periods. You see people are getting familiar with him. Then
Hmm.
yeah, the win was almost guaranteed at that point. Um, yeah, you can't. I don't think you can do. It's like it's not really a fair comparison to say the least. Now, one of the things that does bother me about politics is the fact that why why is it as soon as you lose you step down has
Hmm.
always been weird to me.
Yes.
Um, I actually think had Sheer not stepped down right away, I think the conservatives could have had a shot in 2021.
Yep.
Instead, you created this whole we got to need to get a new leader. We need to do this, that. You've now lost that establishment. You pretty much hit the reset on it, and I think that it bothers me because it's like, is it really about the civil service? You know what I mean? Is it about being a public servant? Like
Hmm.
the party believes in you until you don't win and now the party hates you like that. There's this weird cynical part of me here, Sammy, that's bothered by that. um
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily about you shouldn't ultimately I know it is about winning, but it ultimately shouldn't be about winning. You know what I mean? Like if you
Yeah. Yeah.
believe
Yeah. Hmm.
and then you establish it. Like Ed Broadbent, how many NDP leaders would there be if you had that attitude?
Yeah.
Of like, oh, we didn't win. Time to get a new person. Oh, we didn't win. Time to get a new person. Oh, we didn't win. Time to get a new person. Like Ed Broadbent's like a great guy, a solid leader, and he was like his caucus was tiny. But like you maintain that and you create a vision with it. When you keep kind of going on this wheel carousel of leaders, it's quite cynical to me that's kind of your outlook on politics. And then yeah, it said I don't think Pierre Poilievre is some sort of secret genius. I think had Shear stuck around, had O'Toole stuck around, I think the shift would have happened regardless. It just
Yeah.
took
I
that two
agree.
years. Um, but yeah, I just wish that we would have more leaders that would stick around after a loss, and try to maintain something. And then if you lose again, then yeah, there comes a point like, okay, people don't like my vision, we'll move on. But I think people are too quick to abandon it as soon as there's a problem. As soon as there's like a tiny problem, it's all out the window.
Hmm. Yeah, and we are joined by Adam. Like he's giving greetings, like good afternoon, gents. AP 2024, APR 2025. Thank you, Adam, for joining us. Like, I wish you joined us via video. Unfortunately, I know like you could be busy. And Happy New Year and Happy New Year to everyone. Like somewhere on the other side of the world, it is 2025 now. We still have some hours left.
We do,
9 hours
we do.
in Ontario.
Yeah, we're
No,
hitting
less
the
than nine. Yeah,
yeah, we're getting there. But well, it's 10 hours for here. It's two
yeah.
o'clock.
Hmm.
Almost 10 hours
Almost.
to
Yeah,
go.
8 hours almost here.
Almost 10 hours, and then we'll celebrate We'll look forward to a new year, Sammy.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. Hopefully, the new year would be better for everyone.
We'll
Okay.
see. Yeah, but
Mhm,
I hope so.
mhm.
It'd be nice.
Yep. So, like right now, your school is off for New Year and Christmas, uh, vacations.
Correct. Yes, January 6th we open
Oh,
back up.
January 6th will be back.
Yeah. So
Okay, so you. Mhm,
Monday, Sammy. And then we'll be pitter patter right back at her, and then we'll get to doing our diploma exams,
mhm.
which are exciting. Um, which yeah,
So, so you will the teachers will be paid during these vacations.
yeah. Well, we're salaried,
Oh,
so
you have salary. Okay, that's
yeah.
good.
We're so the thing that drives me a bit crazy about people being like teachers are they get all this time off. We're actually only paid from September to June, so we actually don't get paid in July and August. Our salary doesn't cover that. But yeah, we get this time, and then we're back at it. Well, there's like a couple teachers that are here right now that are prepping, so it's not really you don't really get too much of a break. It's nice to have like a 2 week thing to sort of reset, but people are gonna I'll probably say on Friday you're gonna see an increase at the school. There's probably gonna be a couple teachers, probably maybe like 10 or so that'll be here just prepping stuff, and that'll be kind of the whole weekend.
Mhm. So, so July, August. So you won't get any penny from anyone, like from government, like no salary on that time.
Yeah, there's no pay on July. That's sort of a thing that people sort of they're like, oh, you get those 2 months off. It's like, well, actually, I don't get paid for it.
Wow.
My pay is raised. Well, so sort of you can do a couple of things. Like you can sit down and say, uh, it's like because my I get paid from September to June, but I can say, hey, let's take that 10 months and turn it into 12 months. So then I get paid like less over the year, but then I get paid at least July and August. I get some money. So some people
Mhm.
will do that. Sometimes it's just sort of a big
Okay,
lump,
I see.
but
You
it's
don't
not a
worry.
lot.
Mhm,
It's sort of like you're getting paid 10 months over 12. So you're not
mhm,
getting paid as much as you would. And so yeah, a lot of teachers will take jobs in the summer,
mhm.
um, just to sort of pass the time and get some extra income in, which is probably what I might be doing that. We'll see.
So you play music on those 2 months full.
I do play a lot of music. Yeah, there's a lot of little band and gigs and stuff. So make a couple $100 a week.
That's good.
Yeah,
Thank you very much, Adam. Adam is saying he's a bit tied up, but happy to listen and add some chats today. Thank you very much, Adam. You are the rock star, man. Always pleasure to have you.
truly.
Mhm. Yeah, it's great. Okay, like what are you surprised with Christia Freeland departure? You know, like it was a surprising departure. No one was predicting it. Like I think I woke up at the afternoon. I've read that one on that day, so it was completely shocking. Were you shocked?
Yeah, it was sort of particularly because they were going to do the budget announcement, and then yeah, I saw on Twitter her letter, and I think in terms of like the brashness of it was pretty nice. Of like we disagree on the direction this you know gimmicks trying to win over people with gimmicks. So you're like, oh, these are not nice words you're using, Freeland, which I thought was fun. Yeah, it was. I think everybody was surprised. You'd almost expect it to not be that. Well, they've done one now. Well, how many? They've done like two cabinet shuffles, and since Freeland stepped down, like it seems like there's a cabinet shuffle every day to try to keep the boat afloat. But yeah, I was surprised, but it was fun to read. I won't lie. Christy Freeland's from up here, Northern
Mhm.
Alberta girl, uh, which is always fun.
But was it that strong as Madam Jody Wilson rebel statement was? Like someone comparing, like it mean it was written like is Jody Wilson rebel statement.
It won't. I don't think so. I think Wilson Raybould was like full on. Like Freeland is still, keeping the politics alive, being like, I'm still in the caucus. Well, Raybould was like, I need to just burn this like as down as much as possible. So it's a different thing. But I still think, for somebody that's like, I'm still on this caucus. Uh, to sort of say the things there was a lot. It's not a common thing that you see when people step down. They'll usually sit down and say, "I want to thank, Justin. I want to thank our prime minister for giving me this opportunity. He has a great vision. I'm just not going to be able to do it right now." Hers was like, we have completely different outlooks on what the best course of action is for the country, and that is why I'm stepping down. Is very different. It's a very
Mhm.
different thing that you don't usually get in one of those letters.
Yep. Yep. And like, let's talk about Trump tariffs. And Trump is continuously mocking Trudeau and calling Canada 51st state. I think we talked about it. Like, when
A
did
little
we talk
bit.
it about our last week? Yeah. So so it seems like Trump is trying to humiliate like Trudeau and Canada. Like what Trudeau did in the past. Like now Trudeau is paying the price for calling out Trudeau, like Pierre Pouliot is Trump and Trump style, like slogan, like making a mega, like making Canada great again and those stuff. Like Trump noted everything, every single piece. You remember back in 2018 or 9, like it was 18, during G7, I think, summit, like after Trump mocked Trudeau, called him like two-paced. Like after their meeting, they did a press conference where Trump took too long for the press conference. I think it was 45 minutes or an hour. Usually Trudeau does not stay with media that much long. And Trump never like afraid, like he just talks, like he's open book. you know, like he's just brave enough, like he knows like he's not going to lose anything because he's the president and he has the support and power, particularly he has the money. So that's why he does not afraid. But Trudeau just staying, like he's speaking with Emmanuel Macron, and I think European Chancellor was there, and I don't know, like Boris Johnson was there during, I think it was in UK. It was, I don't know, like what it was, whatever. Like it was in UK. Yeah, I mean after that, but he called him like he's a smart guy. I like Trudeau, like you need to tell him like, like he said that he does not, like Canada still does not spend like 2% on defense, and we are still dependent on US to protect us. this is this is shameful, and Trump is, that's why he's keep calling him out. Now it means he's taking the revenge.
Sorry.
Like it means Trump is taking revenge.
Oh yeah. Oh, sort of. Yeah, I think it's once again. I said this the last time we talked about it. Trump's a natural troll, and
Mhm.
what better way of ticking people off? But I think it also what it does too is, and you're starting to see it, and I see it with some of my friends there being like, "Oh, he has a really good point." Which is it's kind of shameful, sort of seeing the response by some Canadians, sort of going, "This is fine. Like he's 100%. He's right." And it's like, and then you're like, just because somebody was in government for like 9 years, like Canada should just give up is very silly.
Mhm.
To be fair, he's also doing this for Panama. He's doing this for Greenland. It's not just Canada's the only one that's
Yeah.
kind of in the. But I do think that there is a somewhat sincerity to it, primarily because it would help with like um the budget in the United States. Like they're what, $31 trillion in debt. You get a country that decides to join you, like Canada, that has and I think that that's a little bit of the pulse there of stoking those flames of hey, this is a good thing. It's a thing that a lot of separatists were doing in like the 60s and 70s, sort of being like, it's really good for us to be on our own, and you sort of just casually drop that over and over and over again. You try to plant these seeds, and I think that that's where some of it might be, in it being like a Hail Mary, because if Canada's resources are a part of the United States, like then you could look after, you'd be set. Like Canada would be a golden thing there. So I think that there is actually a mild amount of, but I think for the most part it's still trolling, Greenland, Panama.
Mhm.
Um um and yeah, and I think it is a little bit more, I think Trump, well, is seeing how bad Trudeau's polls are,
Mhm.
and I think that's also satisfying, sort of taking down this golden child when you were elected president that everyone would compare you to all the
Mm-hmm.
time. Everyone's just like, look at Donald Trump. He's the
Mm-hmm.
worst president ever. And look at how beautiful Trudeau is. And then you have that's been your presidency, really. That felt like what it was the last his 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Every he
Yeah.
would do something, and then people would immediately be like, look at how Justin Trudeau would do it. And now
Mm-hmm.
you're like, you can kind of like grade a little bit and be like, oh, look at this. And all it takes is like a handful of people, Canadians, being like, Trump is 100% right, for you to even feel even better. So he's relishing in it. I think there's a little bit of that, a little put Trudeau's nose in it before he ends his time as prime minister. And
Mm-hmm.
but I have been impressed, I will say, with Doug Ford's response to all this tariff talk. I think Doug Ford, I actually am very disappointed in Danielle Smith. She seems to be sucking Trump's farts quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
She seems to be like, oh, yeah, it's fine, it's okay. Versus like Doug Ford, who's like, we're going to fight fire with fire. And I
Yeah.
appreciate that. I
Mm-hmm.
like Doug Ford's response. But you're seeing actually, too, a little bit of a division in Canada where
Mm-hmm.
you're seeing, Danielle Smith is going south talking about how, like this is okay. We'll look at what we're doing. We've increased border patrols in Alberta for what was it, like 70 pounds of fentanyl that comes across the border between
Mm-hmm.
like Montana and Canada. We're spending now 15 million or 24 million, something ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And she's trying to appease them, but Trump, I think would respect Doug Ford's response a lot more, saying
Mm-hmm.
like, "We're just going to shut off power."
Doug
Like I think
Trudeau.
Trump would look at that being like, "Oh, you got some balls, good work." But Smith's kowtowing it. But you're starting to see a little bit of that division because like Quebec is agreeing with what Smith is doing, saying
Mm-hmm.
we need to bolster it, while BC with David Eby's agreeing with what Ford is doing. So you're seeing a division there, which Trump loves. I think he
Yeah.
loves that there's not a united discussion there, and I think that opens up another whole can of worms as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it mean like you should never be defensive, like on such circumstances when it is coming to attack you with 25% tariffs, like who the hell would buy Canadian products when the Chinese or other like European products would be cheaper in the US. So it means we need to sell our products here, like in Canada, like you need to give 25% discount, like sending them to the US. So this is crazy, like it is absurd. But now premiers are also like, it means divisive, like they are divided, like particularly Semit is saying something else, and Ford is saying something else, and Mo is saying something else. I don't think like Mo also said something what Ford said, like just turn off the power, it will be okay. And Trump loves those people, it means who has the courage to fight him with him, like particularly with Kim Jong-un or Xi Jinping, like Chinese president, and Putin, like he never dare to call them out, like he always call them, I have great relation with them, like he knows like they don't afraid from Trump, like they have their own capacity, and they have their own, they can defend themselves, and they're not afraid, like particularly Iran. But he always mocks Iran, and he hates Iran because he is more pro Israel. But yeah, it means we should be more aggressive, and we should be, um, rather than being defensive on such level. And I don't know like what would Pierre Poulier do, like, but Pierre Poulier, like if conservative wins the next government, like Jamal Giuliani, like is a friend of JD Vance, like US vice president, so it could play a great role. But I don't know like where would uh, Pierre Poulier would put him, like he cannot make him Minister of Foreign Affairs, because Michael Chong is the right person who is in this portfolio of Shadow Minister for Foreign Affairs, I think now almost a decade. So maybe he could be Minister of International Trade, or there could be another minister portfolio such as US Canada relation,
Yeah.
like committee or chair or something like that, like he could put him there. I'm also wondering maybe he could, but he always, like Pierre Poulier always attacked Trudeau for making a big government, like always making things big, and he always criticized him, like whenever there would be a scandal, where there would be a problem, Trudeau would create a bureaucracy, so where he would stand. So I don't know, like where he would put Jamal Juveni. Maybe he could be the deputy foreign affairs minister. Maybe he would make him like deputy prime minister or something like that. Like other seats are full, or maybe he create a new ministry. And I'm just like I'm waiting to see how how big or how small a conservative government would be, because we have right now the largest government in Canadian history. I think 40 ministers, and how many like parliamentary secretary and other bureaucrats. He wants to like lay off like half of those bureaucrats and defund the CBC. So it would be very vital to note, and I don't think the media is talking about this. Like we don't hear much about this thing. Like we are just talking about what's happening now. We are not talking about future, what would happen. Like you need to bring Pierre Poulier, ask him like what would you do, like how small your government would be as compared to Trudeau's government. As you said, like there should be fiscal responsibility. You said like there should be um less spending. So how are you going to spend? And we have like pay raise every year. Are you going to stop this one? We are just talking about axing the tax, defunding the CBC, and I don't know, like cutting immigration numbers. And I don't know like whether he's going to release the those foreign interference, those people names are there, like are you going to release read the names in the house of common floor? So are you going to do it? No one is talking. I have sent like multiple time request to Pierre Polier office. So once I received that, it was forwarded to the, I don't know, like to his office. Then I followed up. I did not receive any request and response. Like I know, like I'm not going to receive any response from him. Like as I'm not a big, a journalist, or I don't have connection to the internal party. So Pierre Poulier would not give an interview to me. But Mr. Poulier, if you are watching, or if your supporters are watching, you are very welcome to any time. If you would like to join us on the Sami Parvez show, I have lots of questions for you.
I I think though, as you were saying, Sammy, just there's a lot that we have to unpack. But I think the thing is that you're right. What does a conservative government look like? Is it going to be less? Obviously, it's probably going to be less, but you can easily use a portfolio of we need to build up our relations with the United States and create that minister of U.S. Canada relations. And I think conservative supporters won't care. You could probably have a similar amount of ministers and conservative supporters won't care because it's not Justin Trudeau. And you can sit down and be like, it's such a mess. Well, like in Alberta, we have a minister of red tape reduction. Like, you're like, what? You just created like a red tape. Like, what are we doing? And I think, and people were like, that's great, good. And I think so I don't think it's going to be necessarily smaller. It's just going to be slightly different. And he'll be able to justify it. You're right. It would be interesting if somebody would ask him, like, what's your cabinet going to be looking like? Are you going to be actually cutting money? Because like, ultimately, the only thing is his platform is axe the carbon tax, build the houses, and bring back jobs. That is literally all he has. Like, there's nothing else to it.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna axe the tax. We're gonna build the homes. We're gonna bring back jobs. That's it. And like,
Yep.
everyone's like, okay. Like, it's like, but like, what tangibly? Yeah, everyone just claps. Everyone's like, oh, that's great. And you're like, what do you have that's tangibly there? And nobody's asking that. So I honestly see his ministry probably he'll cut like or combine a couple
Yeah, I
things
think he would cut diversity, equity, inclusion, and deputy,
or
and
merge it with like
yeah,
it'll just be like social affairs.
yeah.
But like that would be, but then he's gonna make he'll make a couple ones. He'll be like, yeah, U.S. Canada relations. Well, I have a feeling that's going to be a new ministry, and but yeah, I don't think it's going to be necessarily based on that. Like, I
Mhm.
think people are just it's somebody different, and he kind of gets carte blanche his first 4 years. Now, after that 4 years, I think that'll be when the pressure starts to pick up a bit, being like his conservative supporters will say, "Okay, what are you doing now? This government is big. Our deficit's still rising." Because I don't think it's gonna. He's gonna. I doubt he's gonna do. Because particularly when you start cutting taxes, where's that
Where
revenue
are you
coming?
going?
Right? Like what's going to be the new revenue?
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a bit that 4 years, and then. But I think for his first 4 years, Pierre Poilievre can literally do whatever he wants.
Hmm.
Like his first 4 years, he can do anything,
Hmm.
and and that'll be no one will care. But it'll be that next term being like, okay, the conservative supporters, and that'll be the time too for what's his name, Maxime Bernier to, or at least the PPC folks to really push that. Like you're not really a conservative, you're just liberals in blue, and then you can start to make your own push with that. Um, but I said I don't think it's going to be anything. I don't, Sammy. I'm not going to lie. I have a feeling the Pierre Poilievre government will be just as bloated as Trudeau's. I don't think there's going to be much from that. The carbon tax will be gone,
Hmm.
and I have a feeling when the carbon tax goes, things aren't going to get that much more inexpensive.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Like, yeah, it would be love, like if we have like one elected PPC MP, like in the next election or after next election, it would be fun, like if Maxime Bernier would be sitting in the house, like you will continuously mock like Pierre Poulier and like CPC government, like it would be fun. But like we don't utilize our mind, like we always set up our already we made our mind. We need to vote this party, and as you said, like what are the slogan, like just build the houses and defund the CBC, X the tax, and that's it. Yeah, nothing. And he just says, like what people wants to wear. Particularly, I know like there are some YouTube channels, like I know like some of them, they will say the things what people want to wear. Yeah, like he will say like when you are giving a speech, so it gets boring, no one listen you, but you will say, you will talk about whatever people wants to wear, so then people will start, like listening. So as we always don't talk about the particular issues what people wants to wear, but we will talk we talk about what what is the right thing, like for Canada and Canadians. Maybe people don't agree with us, but these are the right thing. I would challenge you, get elected 2 PPC MPs, like it would be fun for CPC to govern, like. And as you said, like after 4 years it would be a disaster for conservative. Maybe they would be in minority, like after 4 years everything changed, and after defunding CBC or axing the tax and axing the carbon tax, if things won't change, so what the hell are you going to do, like to get the things changed? I don't think like as we like went for shopping today, like we saw like a cucumber is 188, like if it would stay 188, if it won't come down to less than a dollar, so what the hell are you going to do, like you cannot do it. Now you can blame me like Pierre Poulier does not control the pricing, but he says like he would, like the carbon tax is creating this order, like everything expensive. So it would be fun to watch, and media should change their attention. And if Pierre Poulier is giving interviews to I know like particularly right-wing media, particularly Toronto Sun and maybe mainstream media, they need to ask those questions too, like what are you going to do with those plans, and how would you like tackle down this 25%? I think like I have a sense like it means when Trudeau would resign if Pierre Pouliot get elected, so Jamil Jiwani would tell JD Vance that please tell Trump, so now drop this 25% tariff, this is over.
Yeah, yeah, it seems like, and then it's all fine and dandy, which is, we sit down and talk about how foreign interference is bad
Yeah.
until it's your side, and oh, actually, this is great. Look at that. It's like we're being held hostage. Like
Hmm.
that's wild. I was for some reason last night I decided to watch the 1979 leaders debate
Hmm.
between Joe Clark, Pierre Trudeau, and Ed Broadbent. And I don't know, I was just sort of bored, and so I was watching that, and it was very interesting because at this point, 1970, early 70s is the moment when you start to see the shift in like wages stagnating, but profits rising. And what I have a feeling is that when that carbon tax ends, the prices aren't gonna drop that much. And the free market will nothing's going to really change. I think stuff will be just as expensive, but now there'll be less money that the government's making. Um, and like Ed Broadbent in the debate had mentioned how that was taking place in the 70s, where it's like things are getting more expensive, but that they should have. It was actually very interesting. Joe Clark did really well. It was actually a pretty nice little debate. That ended up being a minority government, I think. I think it only lasted like a
Yeah,
year.
Joe Clark won it, right?
Yeah, but I think it was just
Yeah.
like then
Hmm.
it then they had the election right away.
Yeah, Pierre Pouliot came back in 80.
Yeah. But when I was watching it, Broadbent suggested having like a government that like a bureau that would make sure prices are correct. And there's a part of me that's like, I think if you're going to get rid of the carbon tax, you almost need to have something like that, because I have a feeling a lot of businesses are going to not do that with the pricing. So it was something interesting. I was like, it's funny how, you know, 50 years ago, 40 years ago, they were talking about businesses gouging people with like sort of tax relief. And we're probably going to have that same thing happen next year. So just an interesting thought.
Yep, yeah, that is very interesting. Like, is there I don't know, like, why do you predict, or have you ever thought we should get rid of this royal system? Like this governor general or this monarchy. We should be a republic. Have you ever had any debate in the school?
Oh, we discussed that. It's just a common thing. It's in our curriculum to talk about sort of like how the government is set up, and students will be like, huh? Because really Canada is ultimately the governor general is like the president of the United States. Like it's all very similar across. Governor general is the president, our Senate is the Senate, our House is supposed to be the House, but the way that Canada is structured, it's most of the powers in the House. Senate rubber stamps everything. The governor general just tacitly approves stuff, um, which ends up having its own. It's nice because we get stuff done versus the United States where they're always belly aching because you have the checks and balances. The thing is, Sammy, is that it is harder for Canada to leave the monarchy than the United Kingdom. Did you know that?
Yeah, yeah, I think you told me.
Yeah.
Did you?
In order for Canada to leave the monarchy, you would first off need to do a referendum that has, quote, a clear majority. What is a clear majority? There's no number. So if it's 55%, that might not be a clear majority. So you need to have that. The next thing that you would have to do is that the House of Commons would then have to vote that they want to pursue leaving the monarchy. And if that fails, if anything fails at any time, Sammy, it all falls through. And then it has to go to the provinces. of which 7 provinces have to agree with that. It has to be all the legislatures. 7 of them have to agree, but the population of the provinces has to be over 50%. So if you get 7 provinces, let's say you get British Columbia, Alberta, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Newfoundland, Prince Edward Island, and Nova Scotia all agree to go. We want to leave the monarchy. And Ontario and Quebec say no, it falls through. Like, and then so it is harder. The UK, they can leave if it gets a majority vote in the House of Commons. It's like something ridiculous like that. They can sit down and say we want to leave, and then that's it. And then everyone votes, and then voila. Or it might be a referendum. It's something like, but so I don't think I don't know. I kind of like the monarchy a little bit. It's familiar. I won't lie. I know it's not necessarily the best, but it is a familiar thing, and I think the headache involved with leaving it is a lot. Um, so I don't know. I don't to an extent. I also enjoy the ideas of having like less power in one thing. But we talk about it. It's a thing that's talked about in school. We talk
Mhm.
about sort of the setup of government and all of that stuff. Right? Grade 12, they talk about ideology, which is kind of fun. And students figure out where they stand on stuff ideologically. But yeah,
Mhm.
I don't know.
But but it seems like it is a waste of taxpayer money. But it means Governor General like spending millions of taxpayer dollars for just laundry. Like whenever a trip, foreign trip, is spending I don't know like thousands of dollars on food and other like gifts, flowers. These are reckless spending. We need to control them. That's why I want to get rid of this monarchy, get rid of these senators. Like we need to have our elect, or if we have a senator, get the senators elected, and there should be a two-term senator, two-term MP, two-term prime minister. Make everything term wise.
The I think I understand. I used to be very much about term limits. I've kind of shifted a little bit, um, primarily because I think you're going to actually have more corruption with 2 terms. People will want to. It's
Hmm.
like, oh, I only have it for this long, which is why I think when we talked about the pension, I think I have no issue giving the golden pension to somebody that gets elected like third time. After your third election, I'm
Yep.
like, okay, you've obviously earned the trust of folks. I think the problem with term limits outside of like the United States with the president, I think that's fair. But like, I find that you'll end up having um, a little bit more corruption because people will be like, oh, I'm only going to be here for this long. Give me some back rubs and deals so that I can really enjoy this time. It's a similar thing too. I used to be very much on like you should uh, MP should be paid what the median salary is. But
Hmm.
once again, if you don't pay people well, then they go towards corruption. You look at different places like that. So I gets tough. The thing is, Sammy, too, is that I know that the governor. I would like a governor general with a bit more teeth that'll
Hmm.
sit down and criticize what the government's doing. Because right now it's all rubber stamp, similar with the Senate. Um, because it's like ultimately, too, Sammy, if we elect like a president, that president's going to charge taxpayers millions of
Yep.
dollars for laundry as well, right?
Hmm.
It'd be nice if it wasn't just like, oh, thank you for appointing me, Mr. Prime Minister. I love you so much, which is kind of what it is. It's like a lapdog thing, um, which I'm not a big fan of, regardless. But I think it'd be nice if you had somebody with a little bit more backbone. That's all.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't think Canada is ever had a governor general who would say no to the prime minister.
Yeah,
They always like point their laptop, like particularly current our governor general, or if we had in the past during Stephen Harper era, or whoever it was, like back then, always say yes sir, thank you sir.
yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm going to read Adam Smith comment. I like the structure of Canadian government, but time to distance the country from UK influence, stay with the monarchy, whatever, but get Charles off our currency. We have our own Canadian identity.
Fair. I like that.
Mhm.
But I
So
like my money having monarchs on it. I like having a king on it. It's
mm,
fun.
So the Canadian land owned by king.
Yeah, I think so. Well, sort of like the whole. I'd have to like really spend a lot of time with what happened in like like with the Constitution because like let's see, I have the power here, and then is Canada land owned by?
Wait, folks. Donovan is just digging in on his laptop or somewhere just to give
But
us
like it's
more
like the
information.
Canadian crown. It's all weird because it's like Crown land is owned by the Canadian crown, which is ostensibly connected to the king, but I don't know. It's all weird. I'd have to like spend a little bit of time
Hmm.
um because I don't think it's the monarch's private estate. It's not like the king can just go onto crown land and start building things. I think it's we're separate enough. It's no longer the Commonwealth of like 100 years ago. So I guess yeah. So I don't think it's as much as that as but I'd have to read more into it. I don't think they have much more than that.
But crown mean the king, right? Or
But
monarchy.
sort of because it's like the crown means the Canadian crown,
Oh.
which is like separate. It's like a separate entity. It's similar with like the Court of King's Bench. You're like, okay, is the king the one that presides? Like kind of, but
Mhm.
not really. The king still would be like subject to laws. It's all weird and strange.
And there is no particularly connection with the prime minister.
No. Well, like the prime minister is supposed to be like the head of the house, and that's it. But because of the way our thing is structured, the prime minister kind of has full carte blanche on anything that they want to pass.
So prime minister is the head of the state.
No, but not Sammy. It's the king is the head of state. I don't know. The
Oh
governor
damn!
the governor general is it's I know it's stupid, Sammy, but it's tradition and I like it. I'm comfortable with it.
So prime minister is the head of the government, not the head of the state.
No, it's the head of the house, Sammy. The
Head
head
of the
of the
house.
yes.
So what why so who is so what's the role like speaker is if the prime minister is the head of the house.
Sammy, you're asking too many questions right now, and I'm tired. It's Christmas time. I'm trying to relax, Sammy, and you're making me. I'm just gonna lay
I,
down. I've got like a headache.
I need to clear myself before we enter 2025. Like this is 2024 last just eve. Like we are just like 6 hours, 10 hours away. 10 hours, yeah.
It's
No, 8 hours, eight
nine and
hours,
a half
less than
hours
eight
for
hours.
me.
Yeah, yeah, 8.5 hours. No, not 18, 7.5 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have been away. Like I know, like we read these things, but it goes out of my mind.
Yeah.
Like I always remember the governor general is the head of the state, not the prime minister. Prime minister is the head of the house. I don't know, like what the hell, like our speaker is doing. What is the role of the speaker?
Oh, the speaker is supposed to maintain control of the house. It's like supposed to be the speaker is supposed to you see it really well in the UK
Mm-hmm.
because like the speaker is very much independent even if they are like representing a used to represent a party.
Yeah.
But yeah, the speaker is the one that makes sure we're following the rules and keeping decorum.
Mm-hmm.
But now we have sometimes that Greg Fergus gets a little funky and punishes one side more than the other.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, it's all, and then we all wear funny robes,
Mm-hmm.
Sammy. Ultimately, the goal is to wear funny robes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like I followed like this UK like last speaker was very very strict. Like he never spare to anyone. Like he was from conservative, but he did not spare anyone,
No,
particularly
yes, that's what.
conservative MPs or ministers.
Well, like we were pretty good with like Milliken was like. So when I was a kid, we had I think his name Peter Milliken. Uh, was our yes, Peter Milliken was the House Speaker from 1988 to 2011 and was a
Wow.
liberal, and he was tremendous and just sort of would go after everybody. Peter Milliken, yes, was the House when I was a kid. Like I would just remember seeing him, and he would just, and that's what you want. You want to have that guy that's like, I've been around, I'm a workhorse. I tear into everybody. I don't care. Yeah.
1998.
Or he was a member of the House. Sorry, no, he was a mouse, but in 2001 was when he was speaker. So he was a speaker for a decade.
Wow, it means he was the speaker in the liberal government and in the conservative government. I think he was the one like who voted in favor of conservative or the opposition when the liberal was in minority to defeat a liberal government back in
Probably that
2006.
sounds about right. Well, he just sort of would listen to like the will of the people, and it was nice, and would go after everybody equally. Didn't like anybody. It was good. Uh, yes, the longest serving Speaker of the House in Commons history.
Hmm. I wish we would have someone like him.
Yeah.
I think the last like liberal speaker like before Greg Fergus, he was slightly impartial as compared to what we had before him and after him. I think his was name was George whatever it was
Or
like.
Reagan.
Yeah,
Reagan.
yeah,
I don't really remember too much from his time as Speaker. I
yeah.
remember Andrew Scheer. I remember Scheer a lot, and Milliken are like the big ones that I remember.
Yeah, after Scheer, I think it was Reagan, and after Reagan, they appointed then due to this Nazi scandal, he stepped down due to I don't know, like whoever Trudeau invited him, but they put
Yes.
him all the
Yes.
blame on that poor guy.
Of course, it's everybody else's fault, Sammy. It's
Hmm.
everybody else's fault.
Yeah, and one more thing, I just want to clarify. Like so the land owned by Crown, and Crown can like like you will be you can be asked to evacuate the land anytime because you own the property, not the land.
Yeah, I don't know, Sammy. I'm gonna send an email to a constitutional law expert. I'm gonna do that right now.
Please, thank you.
Constitutional law professor, Canada. All right, I'm sending a thing to Toronto Faculty of Law. I'm gonna send an email to John Borrows.
Yeah, please
I
ask him,
can
is he
do
is
that.
he is he interested to joining us?
I'll just send an email. Why not? No, who's a what's uh cons? I'll send it to Alan Brudner, University of Toronto. Hi,
Thank you
Alan.
very much.
I'm really confused about things.
Yeah, these are a little bit confusing, like no one like give a
Sammy, I don't
really.
even want to think about that. You've got me in a tiss now. You got me in a tizzy.
Sorry, my friend, like I'm giving you a hard time on the eve of 2025.
It's okay. I can talk with Yasmin. I'll send some emails to everybody. I'm going to send an email to Alan Brudner, Yasmin Dawood, and Patrick Macklem. I'm sending some emails to them right now.
Thank you very much.
No problem, Sammy. And Sammy, I think that's about it for me. I have some stuff I have to work on. But it was nice to join in for this impromptu show.
Hmm. Yeah, it was very nice. I was not expecting it. Like we went to a doctor, like just walk in and it was full, and the clinic would be closed at 3 o'clock. So we came back, and I thought, why we should not do a live?
Good.
It has been a long time, like. And after this, like at 6 p.m., I would sit down with a great Toronto Star reporter, national political, I think, reporter Brian Bessifon. Bessifio. I think
Yes.
Brian Bessifio is name, last name. Yeah, he will
Love it.
join me, and it will be published tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern time. You can tune in, and
Love
we
it,
will have
Sam.
more. I
More.
think Don one keeps joining us, or Don one and I will be live again later this week.
We will be. We'll always be live.
Yeah, I think tomorrow I'm working. I'm working tomorrow, day after tomorrow. I'm free on Friday.
We'll
Are we
figure
going to
something
do a
out.
Friday? Huh?
We'll figure something out, Sammy. I might be busy, but we'll do it and then I'll try to make it work.
Okay, sure. Thank you so much, sir. It's a very nice of you, very kind of you, and happy New Year. And you better take care of yourself and
I
enjoy
will.
your rest of day and don't stress too much.
I know it's now I'm trying not to, Sammy, but you have a wonderful new year, Sammy. May
Thank you so much.
2025 bring you much fortune.
I mean,
God be
thank you. I
with
mean,
you.
yeah, thank you.
Amen.
I mean, same to you, sir. Best wishes to you and your family. And thank you so much. And thank you very much for making it happen. Like last time we met, hopefully in 2025 again we will meet. And we, as you said, like maybe not in 2025, but definitely maybe 2026 we will go there. Yakton, whatever that is called.
We'll go up to Tuktoyaktuk, Sammy. I want it.
Tukayakta.
We'll make a little. It'll be like a travel series. It'll be like a travel show. We'll
Mm-hmm.
have little episodes. You get to experience. Sammy gets
Mm-hmm.
to experience Alberta. Sammy, you can order food at the restaurants,
Okay. Wow.
and we'll eat whatever you decide.
Mm-hmm. And is it too cold down there, right? Or
In
no?
the summer, if we come up in the summer, it'll be the sun doesn't set. We talked about that. It's
Yeah.
very warm, so
Mm-hmm.
it'll be nice. Regardless, the Arctic might be a bit chilly, but it'd be fun to just stick my foot in the Beaufort Sea.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, maybe we will go next summer. Not this one, maybe
Not
next
this one. Next
one.
one sounds like a delight, Sammy. You
Yeah,
take
thank
care,
you very
good
much, sir.
sir.
You take care too, sir. Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Have a good evening. Bye. Happy New Year. Take care. Okay, thank you so much for joining us on this special live. And please, if you did not subscribe to our channel, please make sure to subscribe it. And wishing everyone a very happy New Year. And please take a good care of yourself and enjoy your rest of evening. Goodbye. May God bless you. Happy New Year 2025.